sinto amor quando a saudade aperta.
How are you all doing today? This is Peter Snakes, and today on the classic ball python morphs episode I'm going to talk about the Enchi-Fire morphs. My apologies, I do not have a single morph Enchi and a single morph Fire, but I have here my stubborn Enchi-Fire male. The Enchi morph was first proven by Sweetball in 2002 after they got in 1998 a bunch of wild caughts from Ghana in West Africa, and they had a couple, a male and a female that kind of looked the same, and they grew them, and then they paired them. From the offspring of that clutch, they proved the Enchi morph. So pretty much they bred an Enchi female to an Enchi male. They were classified as fancy ball pythons. They didn't look like normals. They were a bit more yellowish, not so much earthstone like the classical wild type jungle ball python, and they had this banded pattern. So that's more or less how from my research, what I could figure out how the Enchi morph came to be. As you guys probably know, the Enchi morph is a co-dominant morph or an incomplete dominant morph. So that means that if you have two copies of the morph, you will create a super Enchi. Another thing that we say, not in a very scientific way, but it pretty much says it all, the Enchi morph brightens. Enchi brightens and Fire lightens. Regarding the second morph, the Fire, as I just said, Fire brightens. So that means that the color of the ball python combos, if you mix Fire with another morph or a couple of more, they will brighten in color. The Fire ball python was proven by Eric Davis in 2003. It is also a co-dominant morph. So that means we can produce super Fires which are on the black-eyed leucistic complex. So that means that it is a mostly white ball python, the super Fire, with black eyes. In both of these morphs, either the Enchi or the Fire, we need to take into account the polymorphism, which means that there can be variations in pattern, variations in color. So you might not have a ball python that looks like exactly what you see on your friend's collection or in the World of Ball Python website or in Morph Market. So pretty much they can vary a little bit on the same basic single morph. Alright, let's get back home and analyze in more detail the characteristics of pattern and color of the Enchi-Fire combo ball python. So the Enchi-Fire male that I have is pretty good exemplar of the combo Enchi-Fire. It has this banded pattern and it's lighter than the single morph Enchi, so that's the Fire morph influence. The Enchi morph is characterized for having green eyes. I hope you can see it here with the light that I have. They are greenish eyes. And in terms of head stamp, either the Enchi and the Fire, both of them, they have a slight blushing on the hand stamp compared to the normal. My apologies for not having a normal wild type or jungle ball python and not having the single morph Enchi and the single morph Fire, but as you can see, the Fire influence on the Enchi, it just brightening the head stamp. Another thing The Enchi is characterized for not having a straight eye stripe. It kind of opens, it balloons here on the side. So both sides, the eye stripe just opens up a little bit. So that is an easy way to identify the Enchi morph in a combo. The Enchi morph is characterized for having a orangey yellowish color on the body of the snake, and also having a little bit of dirtiness on the pattern. So when this male came to me 1 year ago, he was much yellower, and now he's been getting a little bit dirtier. Or another way of saying it, it's the yellow on the scales here on the alien heads. They have been turning a little bit more. So another way of saying this is that the yellow scales on the yellow heads, they've been changing their color and turning a little bit more of a bronze in here, a bronze tone on the scales on the side. Besides its bandit pattern, the Enchi morph presents some alien heads or look-alike alien heads with some keyholes here and also in here. The belly is quite clear, as you can observe. It's a fairly whitish belly, and also in terms of blushing and flaming, I can observe a little bit of blushing, not so much on this one because this is a combo, either the single morph Enchi or the single morph Fire. You can observe blushing on the top, and also the flaming coming from the sides. The dark stripes in between the alien heads, they have a fairly bit of flaming. You can see here the lighter tones coming from the side, from the belly, and gradually turning into a darker color. Just to finalize this quick analysis on the Enchi morph, another characteristic that I have found is and again, the white color on the inside of the alien heads is trying to fight the darker orangey tones and bronze tones on the inside. So as we can see here on World of Ball Python's pictures, this is a fairly good example of an Enchi. We can see the slight head stamp and a little bit of blushing, and the white colors on the side of the alien head. This is another Enchi, a little bit older or grown up, still the same bandit pattern, the white color, the white line on the side of the alien heads, and the head stamp. Well, this one has a lot of white on it, and you guys pretty much can see the similarities on the main characteristics of the pattern and color. Regarding the Fire, it's a lighter color morph than the normal or the wild type. It also has a head stamp with a fair bit of blushing on the head. You can see the alien heads and the blushing on the side. Let's check another couple of pictures. Alright, let's get down to business before I analyze the single morph Fire characteristics. We have here Enchi-Fire on World of Ball Pythons. It's a bit different than mine, has more blushing, has an even more reduced pattern. Let's check other exemplars. Well, this one is more similar to mine, with these bronze, dirty colors on the alien heads on the side of the body of the snake. So there is a lot of polymorphism amongst the ball pythons that we breed. Maybe different lines, different influences from other morphs, but they pretty much share the same characteristics. As I have mentioned, regarding the fire ball python morph, the head stem presents a fair amount of blushing mixed with the Enchi. It gives a very light colored scales here on the top of the head. Also, it might have some tracks alongside the belly, so I believe that these tracks here are the fire influence on this double combo. Also, from the research that I did, maybe the fire morph has been around for a few more years than what we believe, since before 2003, maybe since around the mid-90s. And some of the big breeders and importers back in the United States, they had fire on their collections, but they were just labeling them as fancy ball pythons. So it took a few years until they figured out that there was more morphs than the albino and the pied and the exotic. Basically, Eric Davis in 2003 pretty much singled out the fire morph, and as we know, one of the main breeders that is very famous for having astonishing, very good looking fires is Mike Wilbanks. Mike Wilbanks knows his fires. Single morph in combos, in scaleless ball pythons, he's one of the references. Just to finalize, as you have seen a moment ago, the fire has these yellowish colors, creamy yellow on the side, and alien heads with keyholes. So I don't know if the keyholes on my Enchi-Fire come from the Enchi or from the fire, but it's a good mix. And the fire also introduces some blushing besides fire lightening the colors of the combo. They have some blushing. It's not very well apparent on these ball python that I have, and fire is pretty much considered a cleanup morph. When mixed with other morphs in combos, double or triple combos, fire lightens. Let me just show you a quick example of what I mean. I have here my hidden Jinwoma granite fire. So if you guys do some research, or as you probably already know, the hidden Jinwoma is a slightly dark morph with its characteristic pattern, but as we can see, this hidden Jinwoma granite fire has a lighter color than the single morph hidden Jinwoma, and we can see it here on the ridge on the spine of this ball python. It's fairly blushed in a homogeneous way on the top of the spine here, on the top of the body of the snake, and it also has the whitish around the patterns. I don't know if that's the fire influence, but that's a good example of what the fire morph can do. Alright people, I hope you enjoyed this video on the Enchi-Fire double combo morph, and I will see you next week, hopefully with the desert single morph.